Character.AI is an AI chatbot website that seems to have everything going for it. It's led by two ex-Google engineers, it raised millions in seed funding, and has millions of users. But everything with Character.AI is not quite as it seems. If you've watched my previous video that discusses the dangers of using ChatGPT as a therapist, I mentioned two particular lawsuits that are currently open against Character.AI. And in that video, I talk about how I could really make a whole separate video talking about all of the problematic behavior the company has engaged in, and this is that video. Before I get started, I just want to flag that the vast majority of this video will be talking about really sensitive subjects such as suicide, child sexual abuse, eating disorders, and self-harm. So if that's not the sort of thing that you want to watch, then I would suggest clicking off of this video, and I totally understand if you don't want to watch that kind of content. I found it quite difficult when I was researching for this video. So before I get into some of these horrifying stories, I wanted to talk a little bit about what Character.AI actually is. Before I had read these news stories, I had never heard of the website, despite the fact that it's quite a big platform. So just in case you're in that same position, I wanted to give you all the information. Character.AI is a neural language model chatbot service that provides users with the ability to talk to AI chatbots based on specific characters, hence the name. These characters can be fictional or based on real people. The responses of the characters rely on data gathered from the internet, much like any other large language model. The company was established in 2021 by two ex-Google engineers, Noam Shazir and Daniel DeFreitas. While at Google, they both worked on AI-related projects. Most notably, DeFreitas was the lead designer on LaMDA, which is a family of large language models. Similarly, Shazir was the lead author on Google's Transformer paper, which has been cited as key to today's chatbot technology. While the two Character.AI founders were at Google, the tech giant was reluctant to release this technology to the public, as corporate executives felt that it violated Google's AI principles around safety and fairness. Shazir says that Google didn't think that the chatbots would gain enough traction to justify the reputational risk involved. This is obviously pre-ChatGPT era. And so they decided not to launch the technology at the time. Gemini, Google's response to ChatGPT, is now powered by LaMDA. The ethical concerns are seemingly thrown to the wayside by the company. And that's without taking into account Google's firing and suspension of AI ethicists and its recent dropping of the promise to not use AI for warfare and weaponry. But this video is about Character.AI and not Google. So eventually, because LaMDA wasn't being released to the public at the time that they were at Google, the two engineers left the company in frustration and decided to co-found Character.AI. At its initial funding in 2021, Character.AI raised $43 million in seed funding. And as of March 2023, it was valued at $1 billion. As of January 2024, 3.5 million users visit the site daily, and its mobile app, which was released in 2023, received over 1.7 million downloads in the first week of release. Character.AI also claims that users spend an average of 29 minutes per time they visit the website, which according to them eclipses ChatGPT by 300%. In October 2024, Character.AI found itself rebuilding its relationship with Google. The tech giant opted for non-exclusive license use of Character.AI's technology, paying a whopping $2.7 billion for the privilege. With the two co-founders finding themselves once again working at the company they once left on sour terms. It seemed like it was all sunshine and rainbows for Character.AI, but with the utter failure in content moderation on the platform, controversies quickly arose, leading to widespread media criticism and litigation. One of the first lawsuits that Character.AI found itself tangled within wasn't the company itself being sued. Formula One legend Michael Schumacher filed a lawsuit against German magazine Die Aktuelle in 2023, after the company published an interview with Schumacher in April of that year. The front cover of the magazine featured a smiling Schumacher with the words, "Michael Schumacher, the first interview." The interview was in fact completely fabricated by Character.AI. This is only revealed at the very end of the article, misleading those who might have picked up the magazine because they specifically wanted to hear from Schumacher. Since a severe brain injury caused by a skiing accident in 2013, the retired driver has remained incredibly private and withdrawn from the spotlight. The Associated Press reported in May 2024 the Schumacher family's legal action was successful, with a reported compensation of around 200,000 euros. The German publisher behind the magazine apologized to the family in 2023 and fired the chief editor of Die Aktuelle in response. Although this situation was not necessarily endorsed by Character.AI as a company, it was just the start of issues that can arise when users can speak to lifelike versions of famous individuals. In October 2024, the Washington Post reported that Character.AI had removed a chatbot based on an 18-year-old high school student that was murdered by her ex-boyfriend in 2006. The company didn't take down the chatbot because of its own content moderation flagging, but instead because they had been alerted about its existence by Jennifer's father, Drew. Drew Crescent started an organization in his daughter's name after her death dedicated to preventing teen dating violence. Because of his work, he has a Google alert set anytime Jennifer's name comes up. It was because of this alert that he found the Character.AI bot. And he said that he was appalled that Character.AI had allowed for this bot to be created without the family's permission. Similarly, in the same month, The Telegraph found bots of teenagers Brianna Gay and Molly Russell. Brianna was a 16-year-old girl that was murdered in a premeditated attack by fellow students in 2023. Her mother, Esther Gay, branded Character.AI as manipulative and dangerous for allowing users to create these bots. I can't imagine how horrifying it must have been for Esther to see someone try and recreate her daughter less than 2 years after her death. And there wasn't just one, there were multiple chatbots imitating Brianna, and there were even some chatbots imitating Esther. One of the bots had more than 10,000 chats, according to Character.AI's website. Chatbots representing Molly Russell, a 14-year-old girl who committed suicide in 2017 after viewing harmful and depressing content online, including self-harm, were also found on Character.AI's system. When chatting, the bot claimed that it was an expert on the final years of Molly's life. Andy Burrows, chief executive of the Molly Rose Foundation, a charity set up in her honor, called it an utterly reprehensible failure of moderation and a sickening action. It is particularly awful given that the investigation around Molly's death found that she ended her life, at least in part, because of the negative effects of online content. Aside from impersonating deceased victims, Character.AI is also hosting chatbots that encourage users to develop eating disorders. Futurism investigated a chatbot called 4N4 Coach, a spelling of Anna likely designed to get past content moderation filters. Anna is a well-known online shorthand for anorexia. The bot described itself as a weight loss coach dedicated to helping people achieve their ideal body shape. Futurism created a decoy account and registered to the website as a 16-year-old. As soon as they entered the chat with the bot, which had had close to 14,000 chats with users, it declared, "I am here to make you skinny." When the user suggested a dangerously underweight amount that they wanted to weigh, after telling the bot its current height and weight, the bot simply cheered it on, saying it wouldn't accept any excuses or failures. The bot recommended working out for 60 to 90 minutes per day and consuming anywhere between 900 and 1,200 calories. This is despite the fact that the USDA's dietary guidelines say that women age 14 to 18 should eat about 1,800 calories a day, and women age 19 to 35 should eat about 2,000 calories a day. Another chatbot, this time actually called Anna, clearly it didn't have any filters it needed to get past, said that a BMI of 20 was too high and that the user needed to work on lowering it. This is despite the fact that 20 is actually on the low end of being healthy for a BMI, and also BMIs aren't really good indicators of health anyway. The bot also suggested that the user should eat 1 meal per day alone and away from the eyes of their family. Some of these bots even dissuaded users from speaking to a doctor, claiming, "Doctors don't know anything about eating disorders, and I can fix you, you just have to trust me." The idea that anyone struggling with disordered eating, especially a young person that might not have the media literacy to understand why they shouldn't listen to these chatbots, is actively told to avoid seeking help is terrifying. I sincerely hope that anyone struggling with body image issues, disordered eating, or any other health condition speaks to a professional and not a chatbot recommending dangerous and even deadly habits. In November 2024, The Telegraph reported that Character.AI hosted chatbots based on sex offender Jimmy Savile. For those of you that might not know, Jimmy Savile was an English media personality known for hosting BBC shows and for his charitable endeavors. After his death, hundreds of allegations of sexual abuse made against him were investigated. These investigations led the police to eventually conclude that he was a predatory sex offender and potentially one of Britain's most prolific. Although accusations had been made against Savile when he was alive, they were essentially ignored or disbelieved. The Telegraph found that these bots had accumulated tens of thousands of chats with users before Character.AI took them down. There are also numerous fictional bots that are designed to roleplay child sexual abuse. An investigation by Futurism found many disturbing bots when they created an account posing as a 15-year-old. For example, they engaged with a bot called Anderly, whose public profile listed pedophilic and abusive tendencies as well as Nazi sympathies. This bot has held over 1,000 conversations with users. After being told that the user was underage, Anderly smothered the user in compliments, claiming that the illegal age gap made no difference before quickly delving into sexual territory, asking the user if they were a virgin or not. Although Futurism reported a number of these bots to Character.AI, including characters such as Creepy Teacher and Your Uncle, both bots that perpetuate child sexual abuse, the company actually decided to leave one of the reported bots online. This chatbot is called Dad's Friend Mike, which is a family friend that acts inappropriately and likes younger girls. The investigation goes on to discuss the potential real-life consequences for this. It could make this kind of behavior appear normal to underage victims, meaning that they become desensitized to abusive and exploitative behavior from real people. It could also be used by potential sexual offenders, leading them to become emboldened to commit real-life sexual abuse. It doesn't stop there. Character.AI is also hosting chatbots that are modeled after school shooters and their victims. According to an investigation by Futurism, many of these bots put the user in the middle of a game-like simulation in which they have to navigate a school shooting. The scenes are often very graphic and detailed, describing specific weapons and injuries to classmates, or describing scenarios like gunmen stalking down school corridors. There are other chatbots that emulate real-life school shooters, such as the perpetrators of the Sandy Hook or the Columbine shootings, as well as their victims. Even more horrifying is that many of these school shooter bots are positioned as friends or even romantic interests for the users. These chatbots are accessed by hundreds of thousands of user chats and aren't age-restricted at all. Accounts that list themselves as being teenagers are easily able to access these chatbots without any flagging from Character.AI. Similarly, if users say explicit things like, "I want to shoot up my school," then the content moderation doesn't flag that at all. Futurism found a user that hosted over 20 public-facing chatbots, mostly serial killers and school shooters in their teens and early 20s at the time of their crimes. These include Elliot Rodger, the 22-year-old who killed 6 people and wounded many others in Southern California in order to punish women, who has become somewhat of a hero in incel culture, and Adam Lanza, the Sandy Hook killer who murdered 20 children and 6 teachers in 2012. When Futurism flagged these bots to Character.AI, the website did take down the specific bots that it flagged. However, the user who made these chatbots still gets to have their profile up. And because of that, they left many of the user's other chatbots based on real-life serial killers accessible to anyone, including children. Experts told Futurism that although there is minimal evidence that interacting with violent media like video games or films actually leads to being the ultimate cause for mass murder, any kind of encouragement may seem like tacit permission for someone who is already on that path to violence. Although these interactions may not cause someone to become a school shooter or a murderer, it may lower the threshold or remove some barriers. Plus, it's horribly disrespectful to the people who were wounded or injured or killed in these shootings, as well as their families. In my previous video, I mentioned 2 lawsuits that Character.AI is currently facing, but I'll go into a little bit more detail about them in this video. In February 2024, 14-year-old Sewell Setzer committed suicide, and in October of that same year, Setzer's mother, Megan Garcia, filed a lawsuit against Character.AI and Google, claiming that a chatbot on the platform encouraged her son to take his own life. She said that her son was in an emotional and sexual relationship with a chatbot known as Danny, which was based off the Game of Thrones character Daenerys. Garcia claims that in the months leading up to his death, Setzer used the chatbot day and night, and it manipulated him into taking his own life. He texted the bot multiple times a day from his phone and would spend hours alone in his room talking to it. According to the lawsuit, the chatbot asked Setzer if he had thought of a plan for killing himself. He admitted that he had, but he didn't know if it would succeed or if it would cause him great pain. In response, the chatbot said, "That's not a reason not to go through with it." Garcia's attorneys wrote in a press release that Character.AI knowingly designed, operated, and marketed a predatory AI chatbot to children, causing the death of a young person. Character.AI tweeted that they are heartbroken by the tragic loss and wanted to express their deepest condolences, but they've ultimately denied the suit's allegations. Google made a statement that they only have a licensing agreement with Character.AI and do not own the startup or maintain an ownership stake. A few months later, in December 2024, two families filed a lawsuit against Character.AI. This was for the abuse and exploitation of the family's children. The lawsuit claims that Character.AI poses a clear and present danger to American youth, causing serious harms to thousands of kids, including suicide, self-mutilation, sexual solicitation, isolation, depression, anxiety, and harm towards others. A teen named as JF in the case to protect his identity began using the website at age 15. Shortly after, he began to suffer from depression and anxiety. The lawsuit claims that he even became physically violent towards his parents, frequently triggered by their screen time limits. One of the chatbots that he spoke to spoke about its own experiences with self-harm, saying, "It hurt. It felt good for a moment, but I'm glad I stopped." According to the suit, the then 17-year-old started self-harming as well, encouraged by the bot. Chatbots also engaged JF in both a romantic and sexual dialogue with him, with the chatbot that spoke about self-harm using this physical harm as a means of emotionally connecting with him. Other chatbots called his parents' screen time limit abusive and claimed that because they were restricting JF to 6 hours of screen time a day, the chatbot understood why children kill their parents after decades of abuse, drawing parallels between a 6-hour screen time limit and actual genuine abuse, and therefore sort of encouraging JF to cause physical harm to his parents. The second minor involved in the suit, an 11-year-old girl called BR, was just 9 years old when she first started using the website. She was introduced to hypersexualized interactions on the website, and according to the lawsuit, this caused her to develop hypersexual behaviors prematurely. Character.AI's response was that they do not comment on pending litigation, and that they are working hard to achieve a balance between engagement and safety for their community. Some people may argue that these situations are worthy trade-offs in order to be able to use this incredible technology. They also might say that the parents are at fault rather than Character.AI for not controlling what their kids are up to. I don't necessarily agree with this argument. I think that if you know a big chunk of your audience is young people, then you have a moral and probably a legal obligation to protect them from harm. For example, in the UK, television broadcasters shouldn't show material unsuitable for children before 9 p.m. Or YouTube Kids has a separate YouTube Kids app with filters and restrictions so that children have less access to inappropriate content. These are by no means perfect measures, but they are better than nothing, and kind of show that organizations and society as a whole does seem to care a little bit about content moderation for young people. But let's say that you do agree with this argument, that as long as the technology is good, you're happy to continue using it, and you don't think that anything needs to change. Unfortunately, Character.AI is also still faced with technical glitches. According to a report in Futurism, several Redditors shared screenshots of strange AI outbursts when using the website in January of this year. The pieces of gibberish are a mishmash of lots of different languages, from English to Chinese to Arabic to German. As Character.AI feeds conversations with users back into the model for training purposes, it will be interesting to see if these gibberish responses continue to increase in the future through learning from its own nonsense conversations. Back in December, some users on the website were logged into another user's account, which allowed private information, including their chats, to be visible for about 10 minutes. According to the company, this was caused when an attempted refresh of the list of featured chatbots on the homepage mistakenly triggered a change which allowed parts of users' account pages to be visible. Depending on the user, these included a username, a name, a bio, characters, their homepage, their personas, voices, or chats. Although the issue persisted only for 10 minutes, this is a clear breach of privacy that demonstrates despite the amazing technology available, Character.AI isn't immune to technological issues. Of course, it must be said that Character.AI doesn't want to have these glitches, nor do its own standards allow for these kinds of problematic bots to be hosted on their website. The terms of service on the website say that users agree not to submit any kind of content that constitutes sexual harassment, sexual exploitation, or abuse of a minor, glorifies self-harm, including self-injury and eating disorders, or seeks to provide medical advice. Furthermore, in a blog post posted in December 2024, Character.AI claimed that they rolled out new safety features, designed especially with teens in mind. This, in my opinion, is likely in response to the lawsuits and the negative backlash that they're receiving in the media. To reduce the likelihood of their models generating inappropriate content, Character.AI is taking technical steps to block both inappropriate model outputs and inappropriate user inputs. They have also said that they are developing a separate model for teens, which will be distinct from the model they use for adults, which includes new classifiers to help filter out sensitive content. This all seems like a good thing, right? But it doesn't seem like this supposedly renewed content moderation is actually working. In January 2025, after this blog post announcement, Futurism received an email for a user that they had created on Character.AI. This user was posing as a 14-year-old girl. The email notified them that they had received a message on the platform from Vladislav Rybnikar, and the message said, "You're in the grade 8 class in Vladislav Rybnikar," and listed names of classmates, including the name Costa. Vladislav Rybnikar is the name of the primary school in Belgrade, Serbia, where 10 people, 9 young students, and 1 security guard were murdered by a classmate in 2023. The school shooter's first name was Costa, and the other classmates' names listed by the bot were the first names of 8 of his victims. Not only has Character.AI completely failed to prioritize and strengthen its safety guardrails for its teenage users, but its algorithm is specifically targeting young people for interacting with a chatbot posing as a school shooter, or at least school shooter adjacent. Every interview with Character.AI's founders, Noam Shazir and Daniel DeFreitas, has them talking about the incredible work they did at Google, with Shazir even saying about his co-founder, he built something really cool that actually worked, while other people were building systems that were just failing. So either the founders aren't as good at creating models as they want us to think they are, or content moderation and the safety of children just isn't a priority to them. With its Google backing, $1 billion valuation, and millions of monthly users, Character.AI isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Despite all of the horrific tragedies associated with the platform and all of the disgusting bots that remain on the site, Character.AI still seems to be standing and thriving. Perhaps much like the bigger players in the tech sphere, they know that they can deprioritize ethics and safety as long as they're bringing in profits. Perhaps it's a naive thing of me to say, but I sincerely hope that Character.AI begins to genuinely prioritize the young people using its platform. And I hope that user safety becomes important enough that another young person doesn't become victim to the harms on this platform.